Welcome back guys to the Joe Cobra YouTube channel. I'm going to be bringing you another retro flashback today, this time of another Van Damme classic, Bloodsport.
For centuries, the Society of the Black Dragon has sanctioned an ancient rite of combat, known as the Kumite, open only to the world's most lethal warriors. It has never been won by a Westerner.
You are not Japanese. I can do it.
Now, for the first time, the true story of American super agent Frank Dukes can be revealed.
Uncle Sam can't afford to let you get hurt.
I'm going to Hong Kong.
Frank is going to fight in the Kumite, and we're here to stop him.
An awesome human weapon.
It hurts me just looking at it.
Who infiltrates the Chinese underworld.
I did not come this far to stop now.
Take him.
To enter a forbidden competition.
Couldn't you just get me in?
Strict rules, no press.
You telling me you never break rules?
Where every fighting style, every worthy opponent, every deadly technique clash in savage combat.
Time to separate the men from the boys.
And only one will triumph.
Now I break you.
International martial arts sensation Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport, the true story of the ultimate champion.
Now, Bloodsport is a 1988 American martial arts film directed by Newt Arnold, and it stars Jean-Claude Van Damme, Donald Gibb, Leigh Ayres and Bolo Yeung. The film is partly based on unverified claims made by martial artist Frank Dukes. This film sold very well at the box office. It grossed $65 million on a budget of only $2 million. Bloodsport was one of Van Damme's first ever films in which he was the main star and showcased his athletic ability as well as his martial arts skills. The film has since gone on to become an absolute cult classic and is one of my favourite Van Damme films. At the start of the film, we see a montage of many different fighters who are the fighters who eventually go and take part in the Kumite later on in the film. And it's a very real cool montage and showing each individual fighter and their style and their skills. The film then shows us US Army Captain Frank Dukes, who has been trained in the ways of ninjutsu under his sensei Senzo Tanaka, who is played by Roy Chow. We then get a flashback scene of a young Frank, where Frank and a group of his friends break into Tanaka's home to steal a katana blade. But Frank is apprehended by Tanaka and his son while trying to return the katana back to its rightful place. Impressed by Frank's integrity and toughness, Senzo Tanaka then begins training Frank together with his son Shingo. It is here where we see some horrendous acting by the kid who plays young Frank. Just watch this clip and just see what I'm talking about.
You cannot get katana sword by stealing. It is a very special sword. You must earn it.
I wasn't going to steal it.
You have fighting spirit.
You're not gonna call the cops?
Not if we make a deal.
What kind of a deal?
That's enough. That's all for today.
Not yet.
Why don't you quit, Round Eye?
Not yet.
Go practice your katas.
How come you coach him but not me?
I brought you here to help me train my son. Don't question me.
If you expect me to be punching bad, you can forget about our deal.
After Shingo's untimely death years later, Senzo agrees to train Frank after a heart-to-heart as a member of the Tanaka clan. Then we see Frank's superiors, who learn of his invitation to the Kumite, an illegal martial arts tournament that is held in Hong Kong. Unfortunately, they refuse to let Frank attend the event, but Frank then goes absent without leave, says goodbye to his sensei and leaves for Hong Kong. This is where we meet two criminal investigation command officers, Helmer, played by Norman Burton, and Rawlins, who is played by a very young Forrest Whitaker, probably in his first ever film role. These two guys are assigned to track down and arrest Frank and bring him back. After arriving in Hong Kong, Frank befriends an American fighter named Ray Jackson, who is played here by Donald Gibb, and their Hong Kong and Kumite guide, a very funny Victor Lin.
My name's Jackson. This is Mr. Frank Dukes. Are our rooms ready?
Mr. Lin in room 310 wants to see you after you check in.
Who the hell's Mr. Lin?
I'm Lin. You Jackson? You look like a Jackson. That would make you Frank Dukes.
No. It's Dukes.
Gotcha. Like put up your dukes, right?
When they arrive at the Kumite arena, some officials question Frank and Jackson's claims of participating in the Kumite. Upon hearing Frank say he represents the Tanaka clan, the officials ask him to perform the Dim Mak, which means death touch. After seeing Frank's death touch and also seeing Jackson break a brick into his forehead, the officials then gladly accept their invitation. The tournament then starts, and after the initial first few rounds, the two Americans and Chung Lee, played here by Bolo Young, who is on menacing form as the current and ruthless Kumite champion, all make it through to the next round. During one of Frank's fights, he earns Chung Lee's full attention after breaking his record for the fastest knockout at the Kumite.
Now I'll show you some trick or two.
We then see Frank Dukes save a young journalist called Janice Kent, who is played by Leigh Ayres, from one of the tournament contenders. She is there to investigate the secrets of the Kumite tournament, but nobody manages to tell her anything about this secret organization. So on day 2 of the Kumite, she sneaks into the arena by agreeing to date with another of the spectators. Jackson is then matched up against Chung Lee, and although Jackson gains the upper hand in a great fight, he starts to gloat instead of finishing Chung Lee off. Chung Lee recovers and brutally beats Jackson, finishing him off by stomping viciously on his head, landing the poor guy in hospital. After seeing the brutality of the tournament, Janice then argues with Frank and tries to convince him to withdraw from the Kumite. But Frank tells Janice that he has to win in order to become the best he can be, and also to honor his sensei Senzo Tanaka, and now to get revenge for poor Ray. The CIC officers Helmer and Rawlins finally arrive in Hong Kong and contact the police, but to no avail, as they don't give them much information or much help. They begin then asking around for Frank and then manage to track him down to his hotel. A chase then through downtown ensues, but Frank manages to evade them, and in a comical scene they both fall into a canal. When Frank arrives back at the Kumite, the local police are waiting for him, and he eludes them as well, but later agrees to return with Helmer and Rawlins, but only after the tournament has ended. After arriving at the final day of the Kumite, Chung Lee kills one of his opponents, much to the horror of the crowd. Frank, however, through his very stylish wins through the tournament, becomes a very big favourite of the crowd. Chung Lee, then fearing defeat, managed to conceal a pill in his waistband, which was given to him by his trainer before the match. When Frank gains the upper hand midway through the battle, Lee then blinds him by crushing the pill into dust and throwing it into Frank's face, temporarily blinding him. Frank is then forced to rely upon his training, which Tanaka gave him, who taught him how to fight without his sight in the earlier training scene. Frank eventually regains his sight and the advantage and finally defeats Chung Lee in style and becomes the Kumite champion. The following day, he says goodbye to Janice and returns with Helmer and Rawlins, and the film ends. During the credits, we get some supposed facts about the real Frank Dukes, who the film is loosely based on, and the part he played in the Kumite, which really there is no evidence of, only from interviews that were taking place with Frank Dukes. The soundtrack for Bloodsport was composed by Paul Herzog, who also went on to compose another Jean-Claude Van Damme classic, the 1989 Kickboxer, which I have also done a retro flashback for, so please check that one out if you like your classic Van Damme films. The soundtrack contains great songs like Fight to Survive and On My Own, which are both performed by Stan Bush, who also sang on some other classic tracks for the film Kickboxer. Since its release, Bloodsport has gone on to become an absolute cult classic. It was followed by 3 direct-to-video sequels: Bloodsport 2, The Next Kumite, which was in 96, Bloodsport 3 the following year in 99, and Bloodsport 4 The Dark Kumite in 99. Jean-Claude Van Damme did not actually appear in any of the other sequels for Bloodsport, and for me, none of the following sequels are as good as the first anyway. But actually, I would say try Bloodsport 2. It's actually a good watch, as I thought that Daniel Bernhardt, who plays the main lead there, was very good, and the story wasn't too bad either. Now, although most of the acting in the film is really bad, including future Oscar winner Forest Whitaker's small role, the film still has a lot of heart with some brilliant fight sequences and some real funny scenes and dialogue with hilarious characters. And let's not forget that a lot of these actors were at the start of their careers and still honing their craft. But having said all that, Bloodsport still went on to make $65 million at the box office. That is a lot of money for a martial arts film to make back then, and it made loads more when released on VHS and DVD. But more importantly, it is what helped to make Van Damme the star that he is today. So guys, I hope you enjoyed my video. This has been my flashback of Bloodsport. Guys, please hit that subscribe button to help me grow. Thank you for everyone who has already subscribed so far. Thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart for all your support. Hit that bell button so you get notifications of when I post a new video. And if you liked my video, then please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. So guys, how about down in the comments you tell me what is your favorite Van Damme film? And I will see you guys next time on the next Joe Cobra video. Take care of each other and God bless. Bye bye guys.
Okay, USA. Okay, USA.